Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bouk and Zoobie show on the world famous LAR.com, 927LAR.com, and YouTube. I am John Kalaboukas, the Bouk, with my friend Paul Zubulake, Zuby. So, we have quite a few things we're going to speak about tonight, but as always, we will start off with the NFL.
Well, hello, John. How you doing? On St. Patrick's Day, we are
That's right.
recording the show, and so wishes to everybody who's out there celebrating. Stay safe. Hopefully, by the time this is dropped, and people will be watching, St. Patty's will be in the rearview mirror. But definitely wanted to send those good wishes out. And yeah, we know what season we're in. We're in March Madness, and we will be talking March Madness with our good friend Gamal Smith, right, John, who will be
Yep.
actually parachuting into the show. So, and we will start our basketball discussion with Gamal. But John's right. We're going to start with the NFL because, John, our last show, which was last week, we are back again, folks. I told you during the show that we were going to get back to talking about Brees Hall. So little did the audience know they would actually have to watch the next show to find out about Brees Hall.
Yeah. And why don't you I mean, again, one thing that I had mentioned last week about Brees Hall is we have all these free agents that we're signing, and Brees Hall is wondering, what about me?
Right. And the word is that, oh, don't worry, we're going to get to this extension post draft, which could be interesting because guess what? Brees Hall could be dealt in the draft during the draft. It is possible, folks. The bottom line is, John, they are paying him 14 million guaranteed for next year, which is, yeah, if you analyze that out even just 2 years, you're reaching what pretty much what Kenneth Walker is
Mm-hmm.
getting as his guaranteed money with the Chiefs for 2 years only. Because if the Jets want Hall back next year on the tag, which they can do, the tag will probably be a little higher. So you're looking at almost 30 million guaranteed for him over the next 2 years. So John, I don't think Brees Hall is signing. I think he's not going to sign his franchise tag until before training camp. And unfortunately, I think this is just going to be a distraction in a season that there's a lot of hope out there among Jet fans, which I'm not going to criticize anybody for having hope. Now, the majority of those people rely on the Jets to like make a living because they talk about them all the time. And it's pretty hard to tell your fan base, I'll see you in 2027. But as we've discussed, right, John, a few times already, the strategy is about 2027, the third year of the 5 year rebuild.
And part of that is saying goodbye to Justin Fields, where I got to give Muji credit. So for the cost of paying $7 million and giving the Chiefs Justin Fields, we get a six-round pick. Not a bad trade,
Yeah, to get anything for Justin Fields, it's actually next year's sixth rounder.
right?
And I thought there were some conditions on that. I don't know if been made public. Yeah, good for Fields. I mean, I think if he's smart, John, he'll look to become a gimmick player for the Chiefs. Not afraid to maybe line up as a receiver, backfield, give Andy Reid a toy to play with because he does have ability as an athlete. If he's willing to do it, otherwise he's just going to sit behind Mahomes and not play. So I get, Kansas City is definitely a team in transition. I mean, they're going to try to rebuild this quick, of course, because of the quarterback situation. But yeah, good for Justin Fields. I mean, he was never a bad guy. It's just
No, he's not a bad guy.
right. So it's just the modern day NFL. You come and you go. So I mean, this again, we don't want to reiterate what we've been saying on the other shows, but this doesn't feel to me personally like a team that is really has any idea of what direction they really want to go because it's a mishmash, right? If you're going to start a 35-year-old quarterback, it doesn't really sound like a rebuild. Of course, this is a bridge to a rebuild. So
Mm-hmm.
again, we're going to be optimistic. We hope Geno plays well. The reality is going to hit this team. by record. And now, as it's been reported by a few folks, Captain Chaos is heavily involved, as always, Woody Johnson, and allegedly has now given the power in the organization to Darren Muji, who you already mentioned, the GM, as opposed to Aaron Glenn, John, which also this really just perfectly sets up for a Aaron Glenn 2 years and out,
Yes.
and Muji stays, and another head coach is coming in 2027 with a hopefully a shiny new quarterback that they're drafting. And I know we're talking over it's a year and a half away, John, but if we're still doing Bouk and Zoobie in September of 27 and we're not talking about a rookie quarterback starting for the Jets, I'm going to be a surprised person.
And one thing that you keep mentioning is that you believe McDermott will probably be the coach.
Yeah, that's what I've said. Yeah, so I'm on the record, and he's available. He's got an ability he obviously has experience, and he has that desire, not ability. Hopefully, he has ability. He has the desire to beat the Buffalo Bills, and that's the team to beat in the division. Still, I know the Pats made it to the Super Bowl, but I think most people would argue that Buffalo still is actually the better team there.
Yes, they are.
And we'll see how New England does. Now, they can make me look terrible with that comment, but I would look at it that way. And then, of course, the other team in the division who continues to trade everybody, John. And I
Unbelievable.
guess you saw it. Jalen Waddle was dealt today, and he got another first-round pick back in return.
And other picks too.
I think it was a first and a third, and a pick swap. And then, of course, I'm drawing blank on who did he get traded to, John? Do you have? Hopefully, you know.
Uh,
I actually escaped my head. Where did Jalen Waddle get traded to? We'll look that one up, folks. Apologies for, as you could tell, especially with John, who displays his beautiful gray hair. We're not the youngest, and sometimes we let things drop, like I did with Brees Hall, not mentioning him until the week after. But I do think he's going to be a distraction, John. And all of these things, to me, are fitting perfectly together for the 2027 top 3 pick in the draft. And Aaron Glenn is looking for a defensive coordinator job elsewhere.
Broncos is Jalen Waddle.
Right. That's actually a big move for the Broncos if we're talking around the league.
Bo
Right.
Nix. Bo Nix has another target.
Hey, it's all about winning championships, John. So obviously, unfortunately, since we had the Bouk and Zoobie show, root for the Jets. We're probably not going to be talking about championships. Maybe not in our lifetime, but always can hope.
But I like your idea about Justin Fields, that Kansas City might turn him into a wide receiver. That actually it makes perfect sense to me.
Or at least a gimmick player where he's technically the backup quarterback who would only play quarterback if Mahomes got hurt. But then they throw a package in of plays with him where he lines up at the wideout in the backfield. Then you have the option where you have two guys who can throw the ball on the field at the same time. If he buys in, John, I mean,
it could be useful. It could be useful for someone.
Absolutely. He's a great athlete. Let's face it. I mean, you could literally bring him in there to run a few plays from scrimmage, and then he's just running an end, around the end, or he's doing a quarterback draw. I mean, obviously, the teams will be looking for that, but there's a lot of things that he could do, and to be valuable, and good coaching will do that. Now, I mean, I'm not knocking the Jets. I'm not blaming the Jets coaches for Fields not wanting to be to be a receiver on the Jets. I get that, but I think if he really thinks about it, does he want to get on the field or does he want to just hold the clipboard?
Yeah, well, let's see.
Anyway, well, so I mean, we'll obviously have much more to talk about the NFL in the coming weeks. Obviously, the big draft show. Which do we have a date for that, John? Yet?
We do. We have Monday, April 20th.
April 20th. Alex Stan is in the bunker as we speak, watching draft prospects. And John, make sure you tell him that he's going to have to come on our show and pick the 4 guys the Jets are selecting to
Okay.
16, 33, and 44. Now, of course, there could be trades, but assuming there's no trades, Alex has got to come with the 4 guys that he predicts or wants the Jets to pick, either or. Whatever he wants to do, and we'll let him determine that, right? Is it his pick, or is it who does
Okay.
he think they're going to pick? 2 different things, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
we'll ask him for both.
well, that's what we'll do because he's our
Hmm.
draft guru. So, as always, hopefully people are looking forward to that. And you want to check out our content, right? Every week, every other week. We'll try to at least every 3 weeks. YouTube.com, Spotify.com. Please subscribe to the channel. It's easier than relying on this algorithm that YouTube has out there that penalizes Bouk and Zoobie when we're not on all the time. So it's better if you subscribe. If you can like episodes, it's always appreciated on both of those platforms. And of course, the world famous LIR.com, 927LIR.com, which of course John mentions every week at the top of the show. Spinning the tunes from the 80s and 90s, John, our youth. So we always appreciate being on their platform.
Speaking of LIR, they have a concert at the Beacon with Human League, um, Yazoo, which I forgot the name. She has a powerful voice. I forgot her
Right.
name that she did.
Yaz, I think. Did they go by
Yeah,
Yaz?
yeah,
Well,
they
they
used
were
to be
put by
Yaz,
Yaz,
right?
right?
Yeah, it used to be Yaz and Yazoo.
Right.
She's back on, and Simple Minds.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's a little promo for that. The Beacon
Excuse me,
Theater
not
in
the
New York.
Beacon, not the
No?
Beacon.
Oh, not the Beacon.
No, Radio City Music Hall.
Oh, Radio City, another great
Yeah,
place to see a show. Well,
yeah,
Beacon's one of my all-time favorites to see
yeah.
shows. So when I lived in the old city, now I don't go in too often. Besides, to see a little college hoop, and we just maybe we'll save it because it's part of March Madness. But John and I
Sure.
did attend the finals of the Big East, and congratulations to John and all of the other Red Storm fans out there. Unfortunately, and we'll definitely get into this, the selection committee decide to give the old middle finger, John,
To
to the
Rick
St. John's
Pitino. To
Red
actually
Storm
to
and
Rick
Rick Pitino.
Pitino. No, I think it's more at Rick Pitino.
Okay, well, save it from Gamal.
We'll
He'll be
save it.
joining us shortly. So quickly, before Gamal jumps on, we'll talk a little WBC. Which has been entertaining. I know you've been watching. I have watched. I mean, I think a lot of people watched the Dominican Republic U.S. game, and anybody who watches our show on a regular basis or listens to our show knows that I, in particular, have been complaining about the lack of the implementation of the electronic strike zone, so I do not have to watch an umpire miss a crucial call. And I'm sorry, John. I know that batter, the guy who's up there, especially when they called the same pitch a strike against Soto a couple of innings earlier with
Yeah,
2 strikes and the game on the line, you got to be hacking
that's
because you
correct.
can't rely on the umpire to make the correct call. What's your thoughts?
Well, the one thing I'm very happy is that the United States beat the Dominican Republic, not because I don't like the Dominican players. As I said on last week's show, they were showy, they were celebrating, just crazy. So I said, okay, time to shut them up. And we did. Because the one thing that the United States has uh, is, the United States players is pitching. We have
Yeah,
pitching, which
yes,
is great. Um, it was nice to see Brazaban. He actually did a fantastic job for the Dominican Republic.
he did.
It's a Met player. We have a Met player pitching tonight. McLean is going to start the game, the final against Venezuela, which is no slouch of a team either, hitting wise. But I have to say the Dominican game and U.S. game was really a well played game defensively, pitching wise. It was a great game. I mean, it was an exciting game for a 2-1 game. That was a really exciting game.
It was. I agree. Here's a question for you. Did you think Aaron Judge's ball was going out? I
No,
thought it would have been short.
yeah, it was short.
It was
It would
short.
have hit it would have hit the top of the fence.
Correct. So they did
Yeah.
not really show the replay. Like they kind of almost did, right? And they didn't like really slow it down because they wanted to make it, I guess, a little more dramatic. Still a great play. It's not knocking the defensive play, but he did not. It kept on saying he robbed them of a home run, and I'm like,
No, no,
I
that
don't
wasn't
think
a home
that
run.
was going over.
Yeah, no, no. But you know what was curious is speaking of Aaron Judge. He made a remark today that he thought that the WBC has better crowds as far as noise wise than the World Series, and I'm saying, okay, what
Well,
does he mean by that? What more enthusiasm? I don't get it. I mean,
well, but let's face it, John. The World Series is a lot of people who are in those ballparks who are not the regular diehard crazy fans who go to the games on a regular basis. So I can
yeah,
actually believe that because there's a lot of people in, like I said, who don't even follow the teams who are going these big ticket, those big ticket events, World Series. Now, divisional playoffs and things like that. I don't know because again, that's like where you pretty much have the majority of the home team and home fans. And I agree in the World Series, most of those season ticket holders obviously get World Series tickets too, right?
yeah.
So I guess it's interesting that they would say that, but I mean they were loud. I mean, there's no doubt there was a
Oh, they're
lot of
very
noise in
loud.
that game.
Lot of yeah, very loud. But the I agree with you. They should have that automatic. What do they call it? ABS.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they could have challenged on a couple of those. I mean, on both ways. But
Well, John,
they
another thing is I got to bring this up again though with the challenge system. How are they going to deploy the challenges is going to be remarkable because if that's what they do, John, you're going to have guys in the first inning who want to replay something because it cost them their at bat, and who you're the manager, you're going to tell Lindor that you can't challenge that call in
maybe
the
maybe
second inning
maybe yeah
because I need it for the ninth inning. I mean, how many
maybe
challenges are they going to have? So I just feel like it's just automatic strike zone. That's it. Sound system where the umpire, he knows 95% of the time they're right. He knows, like, okay, strike. And then he gets a noise to affirm the call. And if, that's it. If he calls it, he knows out of the strike zone, there's no noise. If there's a strike, there's noise. I would think that technology is there where the ump is still kind of calling the game. And that if it's, something that's borderline, then there's a sound system that tells them which way it goes instead of having this challenge system. I mean, the challenge system is going to be more fun for us on this show because we can rip it constantly. But I'm telling you, John, that is going to happen. Aaron Judge strikes out in with the bases loaded in the first inning, right, to end the inning or something on a ball that he thinks is not right. He's going to challenge it, and if he's wrong, then they're going to what? Not have a challenge the rest of the game.
they may
Yeah.
not.
Right. So it's really, I tell you, it's going to be, anyway, we'll see if that's what it is. I don't know how many challenges they're going to do, one or two. And then if you're right, you keep on going. It's going to add a lot of controversy to games. I think it's just hopefully, if they could just make it automatic based on not having a challenge. I just think it's going to be way too much controversy. But anyway, that's an argument for another day.
Yeah, yeah. And the one thing about the WBC is one thing that was announced today is Miami wants to be the permanent home for the WBC.
Okay.
Well, think
It's
about
good.
it.
It's good
Think
for New
about it.
Jersey.
If you're the Marlins, because the Marlins obviously run that stadium,
Right.
when are you ever going to get a sold out game except maybe opening day?
Or when the
They
Mets
don't
come to town.
they
Right.
don't yeah
That, yeah.
they don't support the Marlins in Miami at all.
Right. Well, unless the Yankees or the Mets are playing, then they'll almost fill up.
No, they don't even sell out for
Yeah,
those games.
no, they don't.
So
No.
why not let the WBC so they can fill up the ballpark and I don't know, actually appreciate the game. I don't know what I don't understand why they don't support the Marlins because they look like they're on the right track. They have a great pitching staff this year. They have a lot of young players. They're going to actually be pretty exciting team.
Well, we'll see. I mean, people will show up for a winner, even in Miami. I mean, it's not a great sports town. There's obviously a lot of things to do. It's obviously a very international city as well, as you could tell from the crowds. But it's a perfect place where there's balance among the teams. No one can argue that it's one side only. I mean, obviously, from a U.S. perspective, you'd love to have it in like Cincinnati, Ohio, or something would probably be a little better off. But hey, it makes it more fun. It like when you win the game, like you said, you kind of shut the people up. So ended with a little controversy on the cold strike. But John, like I
But it
said,
wasn't
right?
a,
You got
but
to
it
be
wasn't that
hacking.
bad of. Listen, it wasn't that bad of a pitch.
I split the plate in
it
half.
wasn't. Yeah, right. It wasn't down at his ankles. It was a little bit below the knee. You have to swing. You can't
Right.
at least foul it off. Do something. But to stay there, I mean, it was almost like a Carlos Beltran looking at a third strike in the playoffs. It's the same idea. He didn't swing.
Well,
So
right, but I mean when it's technically not in the strike zone, he has a
yeah,
right not to swing.
but it
Right.
wasn't like it was a foot out.
No, I
It was
understand.
a
I understand.
little bit, just barely missed it. So
No, I agree. He's got to be hacking with 2 strikes and the game on the line. Like I said, especially since John, that was literally the exact same pitch,
correct.
right? That Soto struck out
That's
on, which
correct.
is it was. I mean, maybe this was a little even worse.
And if that guy
And
walked, I think it was Perdomo that was
Perdomo,
batting.
right?
Yeah, they had Tatis.
Tatis was
Yeah, Tatis would have been the next one up. That would have been. And Mason Miller. Listen, the guy throws smoke.
right.
Okay, but that's all he really can get over the plate is a fastball. Once he can't get his slider or anything, because he uses his slider to throw it in the dirt. That any of those guys could sit on that fastball. I don't care if it's 100 miles. 100. I was worried because I'm saying to myself, he's going to get a little bit tired. He's throwing all out at 102, and maybe he gets it down to 99. If you're a professional hitter and he's throwing it straight, they could hit a home run. That's what I was worried about with him being there.
Yeah.
I would have kept Whitlock in there because Whitlock, they weren't touching him.
John, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, what's the kid's name who pitched the 8th inning? Because they couldn't touch him. And I was laughing with that Manny Machado at bat. I'm just like, don't throw him a strike. And then he struck him out. Machado just waved at it. What, he missed it by 5 feet?
Oh, they were all missing. They were all missing it.
But he really missed that, that third swing strike. He was not close.
Yeah.
The miracles of the internet. Should we have an introduction?
Yes.
And as he slowly makes his way in.
And there he is.
One more thing. He's up. You're on mute, Gamal. You got to get rid of the mute. Unmute yourself. There you
go.
What's going on, fellas?
How are you?
So you have perfect
well.
timing.
How are we doing?
You have perfect timing for everyone who does not know Mr. Gamal Smith. Mr. Gamal Smith has been on our show many times, and we always have him on as our basketball, whether it be NBA or college hoops. He is our NBA and college hoop expert. So welcome back, Mr. Gamal. We are very happy to see you and anxious to hear your thoughts as we go through college basketball.
Absolutely. I got to tell you guys, this is March Madness is going to be a lot of fun this year. We have, I got to be honest with you, man, there's probably a good, 6 to 8 teams that have a legit shot, in my opinion, to win it this year. It is. Yeah. There's a lot of parity. It's wide open, and that always makes for a real fun tournament.
Yeah. Awesome. So,
Paul, by the way,
yes,
why don't you, whether Gamal knows this or not, why don't you tell him about his former coach, what happened?
I would think he might know. What do you think, Gamal? Every time you're on ours, not every time, but the last time you were on our show, your ex-coach Tobin Anderson was in the news, and he's back in the news. Have you heard?
I heard very little about it. I didn't get a chance to dig into it, but I did hear a little bit about it.
He's
You
now
know,
he's now the head coach of it's Tennessee Tech, I believe. Is it, or Tennessee State? One of the two.
I believe it's Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech. So Tobin, what year were you in his program, or years, I should say?
I was literally when he first got into coaching.
Wow.
Like we were his first, his first coaching job, D3 basketball. He was always a phenomenal coach, always a great coach. Really good at especially ball handling. Always easy to work with, always willing to work with you in the gym. So yeah, Tobin he was a great coach. A player's coach for sure.
And I believe it's today the anniversary of the big upset when he took Fairleigh Dickinson.
That's right, number one Purdue,
and beat number one Purdue. So yeah, Tobin's back. Gamal, it just matches up, Gamal, every time.
It was meant to be.
Hey, if he gave you a call, and he said, Gamal, I want you to be on my staff, would you ever consider to get into basketball coaching?
Listen, if the money is right, the bags can be packed.
There you go. All right, there you go.
Well, I want to ask Gamal, have you stayed in touch with your coach?
Yeah, I reach out to him on IG, whenever I see some stuff, just congratulating him and things like that. Definitely different, man. Different time, he's moving, man. He is moving and grooving, gliding and sliding. And, he's just, that is just a different world right now as a D1 coach. I can't even imagine.
All right, good for him. So anyway, so Gamal, I mean, I don't know if obviously we're going to go through picks, and the way we thought about doing it, Gamal, was we're going to do it by region, and we're not going to go through every game, folks, so don't worry. So we're going to start with a certain region, and then we're going to, every guy's going to put out, their final. We're going to do the final 8, like who's in your final 8, or in that, the finals of that particular region, and then the winner. And then any upsets you have along the way. So we're going to do it that way, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely.
But the first thing we wanted to get to, which we briefly discussed before you joined us, was, and again, this is a tri-state area show, as you know, Gamal, who also lives in the tri-state. The local team that, in both of our opinions, and we are a little biased, but what was your view on what they did to St. John's, meaning who, the committee? What was your thought when you heard what the
that I gotta tell you, man, that was criminal. That was criminal. That was absolutely, when people talk about getting hosed and stuff in sports, that was it. That was absolutely deplorable. I mean, you have a team that ended the year on a high note, had a good winning streak, took down UConn twice, and the second time was on the largest stage of the year in the Big East tournament, under the bright lights, in the Garden, and took them down. And somehow UConn is ranked above St. John's. That, as the kids say, the math ain't mathin'. The math ain't mathin'.
What a disgrace. They are the 5 seed and they put them in the same region, and they put UConn as a 2. Because to me, you can argue. I'll take the neutral observer on this one a little bit, and argue that St. John's could be a 5 because the out of conference results were not there. That's true, but the fact that they made UConn a 2 and then stuck them in the same region, I mean, like you said, it is criminal. And just there is a bias in these committees. There really is. And then shipping them to California. I'm sorry, John, if I took your thunder on that. That's crazy.
The other bad thing about it is that Connecticut is in Philadelphia and we're in San Diego. How biased are they against Rick Pitino more than St. John's? They don't like Rick Pitino. They want him to lose. They're hoping that he's going to lose. And it is a disgrace because we were fortunate enough to see that game, the final game. And, other than a very small comeback by Connecticut, they destroyed Connecticut in that second game. Absolutely destroyed them. And you're going to tell me now, when we go through these brackets, I'm saying to myself, man, they have a rough schedule ahead of them. But anyway, when we talk about it, I have my own predictions on this.
Yeah, right. So, but to me, and it's so funny, it fits into our show, is that this was the number one screw job. This was the number one. If you look throughout everything else,
yeah.
And there's some, I think it goes into the picks too, about some home cooking that one particular university got. We'll get to them in a minute. So, yeah, so we're all on board on that, Gamal, because St. John's won 19 out of their last 20 games. That used to be a major barometer. What were you doing at the end of the season, which is completely logical and kind of throws out those November games. I mean, that's like, come on. It's crazy.
They just came together as a team. What do you think? They're going to be the same team in November as they are in March? Come on. They barely lost. And by the way, they barely lost those games against those teams. And the funny thing is, the one team that I was surprised that did not get in was Auburn, because Auburn beat some good teams this year. Well, they had a lot of losses, but they beat some really, really good teams.
They have a pretty good squad, Yeah, no, Auburn, Gamal, the bubble was as weak as I've ever seen it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There are some things in there that definitely didn't make sense to me. A lot, like you said, a lot of the bubble teams, definitely questionable. But at the same time, you got Hofsters in there, you got LIU's in there. LIU, by the way, shout out to my 5 Canadian countrymen holding down the LIU squad.
All right.
Definitely. It's it's nice to see some of these teams get in there. It's going to be a fun tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys know the beginning rounds, there's going to be upsets, for sure, especially, and I got to point it out to the listeners, always keep an eye on the 11-6, 12-5 matchups. They can go either way.
All right. I'm looking forward to doing it. Yeah, it's great. So, speaking of upsets and LIU, and it's great. You're right. We definitely should mention the other locals. And John Hostler, right? First time in 25 years that they got in, right? Since Jay Wright was the coach.
Yeah.
And we have to mention Speedy Claxton.
And Speedy Claxton is their coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So good for, that was great. He was very emotional when they won. Good for him. You
forgot about LIU and Rod Strickland.
Right. Rod Strickland.
Right.
Strickland.
Now, unfortunately for Rod, they really gave LIU a pretty tough matchup. So, guys, all right, so let's get going because we don't have all night. Gamal, that's what we're going to do. And it was funny because, I'm going to start, in my opinion, you can obviously disagree with me if I'm wrong, the weakest region by far. And this, I'm sorry, I'm like doing these picks, and I'll start it off, and I'll let you guys take over. The Midwest is where we're going to start. And that regional final is going to be in Chicago. I want to mention where because those are the games that get you to the Final Four. Yeah. And to me, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, I want to kind of, my whole view the whole season, Gamal, is I'm a little different than you. I think there's like maybe only 3 or 4 teams that can win. And Michigan was always on my list the whole year. But LJ Kaysen, their backup point guard, got hurt late in the year, out for the season. And I'm telling you, without him and that back up that depth, and you know that from being I think you played the point, right? Or you played off guard, one of the
Yep.
two. How important it is for that primary point guard, in this case, Cadeau, right? He's going to have to carry the load. So I'm like going into this thing, I'm like, I don't know now about Michigan. But then when I'm looking at this region, I'm like, how do I not take them? And then I made it, and I'll just get right to what I did in the final 8. Michigan against Iowa State. I'm like a chalk guy in this tournament. I'm a wimp, but it's all about winning the pool in my son's office that I'm joined in, and that's who I have. And I have Michigan coming out because I just couldn't come up with another team. And then from an upset perspective, I had 2 major ones in this side because I was pretty wimpy throughout. I have the 12-5. I have Akron over Texas Tech. And then I took the pride of Hofstra over Alabama because John may not know this, and maybe you don't either, Gamal. One of their starting guards, Holloway, may miss the game because he got arrested. Not every drug is legal in every state. So anyway, so that's I'll shut up there. I went pretty basic on the top when it came to coming to the Final Four, but I did come with those little first round upsets. So who wants to go next?
We're sticking in the Midwest?
Yeah, we're going to do each region, Midwest, and then we're going to go through. So who do you but tell us your final 2 in the Midwest and the winner, and then if you have any upsets in the first round.
All right, go ahead, Doc. You can
go. Well, I hate to sound boring over here, but I have the same exact pick as Paul does. I have Michigan versus Iowa State.
That's allowed.
Final 8.
Okay.
Michigan in the Final 4. I actually do have Akron over Texas Tech. That's one of my upsets.
Oh my God.
I didn't take Hofstra over Alabama. I did no other upsets.
So you
Those
would
are my
base
picks. But it's pretty
cool.
it's pretty funny we picked the same.
All right, Gamal, what do you got?
So yeah, this I agree with you with Michigan. It's especially in the tournament where your point guard goes down. I mean, that's your whole offense. That's your pace. That's your plays. That's your floor general. So losing the point guard, that is it's going to be hard for them. But like you said, you look where they are. They definitely lucked out here. They're in a nice bracket here. I agree with you. I had Alabama as maybe a team that could challenge them, but then you find out that a guy has 2.1 kilos of weed. So I'm not really sure what you're trying to do with that, but I know it's not good. So so their only challenge is gone. So yeah, on that side of the Midwest, I have Michigan pretty much clear sailing all the way down to the Elite 8. On the opposite side, I have definitely, you can pick some upsets. I gotta be honest with you, I'm a Kentucky guy, but the past few years Kentucky has done nothing but let me down. So I am not gonna be surprised if Kentucky gets bounced. Iowa State, I think, can definitely get down on their side to the Sweet 16 for sure, possibly the Elite 8. But coming out of that, I have Michigan, and I actually have them going up against Tennessee.
Okay.
On the other side, I think Tennessee they play with good pace. Their defense is good, but ultimately, I do have Michigan squeezing them out. I don't know if you saw that Michigan State game. Michigan showed you something in that game. They really did. I mean, they're big men, they're power forwards. Those guys played a heck of a game. They have nice stretch fours. They can spread you out. I think even though minus their point guard, I think Michigan still comes out of the Midwest.
Okay. All right. So we're all on the same page, folks. Did you have any first round upsets you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, on that side, first round, I'm definitely looking at for sure Hofstra, Alabama, since Alabama's down. And also, I'm going to tell you, we're going back to the days of Steve Nash. I'm hoping Santa Clara can do something here with Kentucky.
All right.
Hmm.
Actually, I took Santa Clara myself, but I didn't. I was such a wimp throughout the whole thing, and I'm like, in this bracket, I got to get crazy because I picked too much chalk. So anyway, do you agree though? Weakest region, Gamal? You
Yes,
agree?
hands down,
Oh,
hands
Right,
down.
not even
easily.
close, right?
Yeah,
Wait, John,
easily.
right?
Easily.
Crazy. I'm like, you really appreciate it when you're making the picks, and you're like, this is it is, and then they get to play in Chicago on top of it. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's pretty close, right? Chicago's
Yeah.
obviously tons of Big Ten people in that city. All right, so then I went to my second weakest region, which is on the same side, so it's probably a good idea. I think the West actually. Oh no, I'm sorry. Did I? No, I did actually. No, yeah, that's right. I had West was the second weakest in my opinion, whatever
Mhm.
it's worth. And we'll just go in the same rotation, guys. We don't have to go back and forth because we've already predetermined these picks. So I went all Big 12 in my final 8 here, Elite 8 teams. I think again, I thought Michigan was one of my 3 teams that could win it all, and the other one was Arizona, and they're healthy. I think they're the best team, so I'm taking Arizona. And I went with some upsets on this side. I'm fading Purdue. I think they got a huge favor by the committee, making them the 2 seed. I think that's insane. And by the way, these games are going to be in San Jose, which I guess helps obviously BYU and
Mhm.
Arizona. I'm going with BYU because they people think they're not going to go anywhere because they lost Richie Saunders, but they still have probably the number 1 pick in the draft, AJ DeBensa, and my old friend Rob Wright, who's the transfer from Baylor. So I think it's gonna be some upsets. So my big upset here, I have Miami beating Purdue, and then
Hmm.
losing to BYU, and then I have Gonzaga obviously losing early to BYU. And then
Interesting.
I just love both these teams I want to mention. And I mean, a month ago, I was like zeroing in on Arkansas, right?
Mhm.
Arkansas's got this guy Darius Acuff, right?
Ooh,
I'm
talk
sure
about him. Talk about him.
this kid is going to be a great NBA player, and he's undersized guy, but I mean, I'll let you comment on Gamal. I love him. They are playing Wisconsin in that potential. That not, obviously if they win their first round games, I think that's a tremendous matchup. Oh my God, I did have Wisconsin beating Arkansas because I was on them, and they've gotten so much hype now. And I wouldn't be, the problem with Arkansas, they just had a terrible draw here. They got to play Wisconsin. It's like the St. John's draw.
Yeah.
Arkansas's got to play Wisconsin, and then they got to play Arizona. So anyway, that's what I did. Arizona going to the Final Four. Not really too exciting there. So, John, what do you got?
So I have uh, Arizona and Purdue as in the final 8. Obviously, Arizona in the final 4. I had Arkansas actually moving forward, except when they face Arizona. I think Arkansas is actually a very good team. I mean, we've watched them this year. I mean, they have a great coach. I mean, listen, you got sometimes you got to go with what coach they have too. I mean, if they have an excellent coach,
Oh,
that makes
they're
that makes
alive.
a difference at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, I have Arizona in the final 4.
All right. Gamal, any words of wisdom? And you can
Uh,
talk about Acuff too, or any player, please.
yeah, let's
Anybody you
talk
like.
about Acuff, man. I'm gonna put it out there. I know there's a lot of good players out there right now. I know people, they talk about the kid from Kansas. I got a lot of question marks about him, but if we're doing load management in college, we have a lot to worry about. Um, but I got to tell you, Acuff to me, Acuff might be. He could definitely sneak into the lottery. He can get into the top 7.
Mm.
He's a point guard. He's 6'3", 6'4". That's a good size for a point guard. You're looking at Dwayne Wade size. He can score all 3 levels. All 3 levels a kid can score. He's not afraid. He's a great finisher at the rim. He knows how to use his size. He knows how to create space. His turnover ratio is very low. This is just a complete player. Like, he's one. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of guys in this draft who are play now ready.
Yeah.
Like, they're coming in and you can play them right away. And he's one of those guys. And you guys know in the NBA, it's hard to get a good point guard in the NBA. It's hard to get a good floor general who can come in there and just run everything. That is definitely a guy who can do it. Yes, he can score, but he knows how to run his offense. I'm nothing but impressed. That being said, I got to tell you, man, that Arkansas, I agree with you, Doc. They're well coached. They could definitely make some noise. I actually, on the top side of the West, I have Arizona going up against Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right there, 100%. On the bottom side, I have BYU going up against Miami.
That's what I mean, come on, man. This is ridiculous. All right. Cool. Good. We're together. We go down together, too.
100%. I
Okay.
really do.
You're fading Purdue and Gonzaga, basically, and I am, too. We're doing the same
Yes,
thing. Okay.
absolutely. That BYU Miami, that can go either way. But you know what? I'm gonna go with the kid. I'm gonna go with AJ DeBanja. And you know what? He's that type of player. He gets the guys around him on his college team to play better. When he's going, they're going. So I give BYU the edge there. I give Arizona the slight edge over Arkansas because, guys, Arizona's been really consistent. They've been really consistent all year. And I actually have Arizona, Miami in the West, and I have Arizona coming out just because they have been one of the most consistent teams.
All right. And featuring a really good backcourt and
freshman, right?
Yeah, Burry's excellent.
Yeah.
Bradley, veteran. They got Koa Pete, the freshman who was hurt, is back. Then they got the Italian, or is it the Argentinian, Del Soro, or whatever the hell his name's, good three-point shooter. And they got a big Lithuanian, too. There's so many Lithuanians in college basketball, guys. I don't know. I mean, we'll get to Illinois because that's all they are, right? It's a bunch of
Yes.
and the kid Wagler, what I think his name is, right? The thin kid.
Yep.
He's another guy. Draft. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll bring you back for the NBA draft, Gamal, because like you said, I mean, you're picking in the top 10 next year. You're going to potentially, I mean, I don't want to say superstar. It's a little over the top, but star players available as late as 10. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. You're talking all-star caliber. I think
this past draft was really good. Wait till next year. More depth. All right, so I'm sorry for our fans out there. They're like, you got to be kidding me, guys. Anybody can pick Michigan and Arizona. We're all agreeing. I don't know if that's going to change too much. So we're going to head to again, the third weakest or the second strongest, the South region, where this region to me is all about one thing. It's called home cooking for Kelvin Sampson. Now, I love Kelvin Sampson. He is a great coach. He gets the most out of his guys. He rips them when necessary. I mean, this guy is tough, and he's come so close. So they win their first two games. They play in Houston. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. That is a humongous advantage that I can't fade. So here again, as much as I thought I didn't have a lot of upsets, but I have another one here, which people may agree with or not. And I'm just going by what just happened in the SEC tournament when Vandy kicked Florida's butt and then eventually did lose in the championship game against the aforementioned Hogs of Arkansas. So just to show how live Arkansas is, and it's just such a shame they're going to have to play Arizona and Wisconsin. It's crazy. So my view is, hey, Vandy, I think you're going to beat Nebraska. You beat them by 20 last 2 weeks ago. Why can't you at least beat them by 5 I got Vandy over Florida,
Oh,
and I got Houston
okay.
against Vandy. So I got at least one team in my final 8 that maybe some people don't. But again, I can't go against home cooking. I'm taking Houston. And then the only real upset, I guess, in the first round here, I did fading North Carolina because of Wilson being out. So I'm taking VCU to beat them. And that's pretty much it for upsets. I had a couple other minor ones in the first round. So, John, the South.
My only upset I have, I mean, I have VCU, eventually facing Illinois. I think they're going to beat Illinois. My final 8, uh, I have Florida against Houston, and I'm picking Florida to go in the final 4.
Okay, so John going chalk city because Florida is the number 1 seed. I'm not going to say that Houston isn't chalk, being the 2 seed. Okay, Gamal, what do you got in the South?
All right, so down south in the dirty, let's see who I have here. So I agree with you. I think you look down here. I think that Florida, Florida is, last year they were the team. They did really well last year, but I don't know. I think coming out of there, I like Nebraska coming out of there. I think they're a gritty team. I think they're real gritty. Coming out of there. I actually have Nebraska going up against Houston in the South, and I agree with you. I think Houston is definitely, they're basically playing at home. Houston and their point guard. Their point guard is really good. I really hope he gets a shot at the next level. I know his size. People might question that. He plays way bigger than he is. He plays
I'm talking about
way.
Kingston Fleming,
Yes.
another freshman and another top 10 pick, right? Him and Acuff
Yes.
are going to be the 2 point guards, we'll call them.
Yes.
Acuff more of a pure point, but Fleming, yeah, he's a little streakier, and then Sharp, their sharp shooting 3-pointer, he's been off this year, but he's so experienced. So yeah, we're almost the same, and John's got Florida. So again, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, it's wide open among like 8 to 10 teams, right?
Yeah.
I don't see Cinderellas getting through here.
No.
You always try, right? But once you start actually picking, it gets harder and harder to go against the favorites. But there's going to be upsets. So anything in the beginning rounds that you had as an upset in that one?
In the beginning rounds, who do I have here? In the beginning rounds, I have.
Or the first round, we'll call it.
Yeah, the first round. Yeah, I definitely have Vandy going, but I have Nebraska taking them out. Same thing, the 8-9s. I don't really see those as much of upset. I think those teams are pretty even, but I do have Clemson getting by. When we get to the East, I do have one. I definitely have one.
All right, we'll save that.
Get your attention.
It's so funny. We have not talked 8-9 games because that's usually the hardest one. And it's funny when you go, because when you're doing a pool with a lot of people, bracket pool, those are the ones. The first round is what separates the champion sometimes. Now it's automatic. You got to pick the winner, and you got to have at least 3 out of the 4 final 4 teams. If you're playing with hundreds and hundreds of people, you got to go 4-4, right? So then it comes down to these first round games. We haven't even talked about the 8-9s because, there was a lot of flipping of coins, and Utah State. I'll just mention them because the problem with Utah State is they got to freaking play Arizona if they win.
Yeah.
I have not seen them a lot, but they're getting a lot of hype out there. So I just want to throw them out there.
Okay.
I did pick them to beat Villanova, but again, when you're in that 8-9 game, guys, right? And you face the number 1 right away. It's a misery. So, and that's why I was telling John Gamal during the Big East, is like, I want to see St. John's be in the 3 line so they don't have to play a number 1 seed. And not only they can't even get the 4 seed, which puts them in the same seed, of course. But, and we're going to get to that region because I don't think there's any doubt this is the strongest region. I don't think it was even close. Now you can argue that UConn's the worst 2 seed. And the funny thing about people talking about St. John's, how underseeded they are, but when you consider the fact that they will have to play Duke if they advance, that means because Duke was the overall #1 team in the tournament. So that's saying that St. John's was the weakest of the 5 seeds because they have to play the #1 overall seed.
Ridiculous.
So
It's totally
it just
ridiculous.
how ridiculous this was for St. John's. And I mean, I when it comes push comes to shove, there's obviously this. I'm rooting for St. John's, obviously, right? And nothing would be more fun, right, John, to see round 4, which I almost guarantee that John did pick that. So, but save it, John. So I would love to see St. John's, beat Duke. The problem is with St. John's is that not only are they going to have a tough second round game, their first game, guys, Northern Iowa is one of these freaking annoying teams, John. And if you do not play well, they can knock you off. So that's what makes it so hard for me to take St. John's on a deep run because even their first round game is pretty tough. Then they got to play Peterson, who Gamal mentioned, the top freshman in Kansas. Cal Baptist is a 13. Well, I don't know where that came from. But anyway, so to make a long story short, I picked UConn against Duke in this region, not really because I hate both of these teams. So if they advance, at least I'm happy about something that I got it right in the pool. So as much as I want to see Michigan State beat UConn, I almost want to see them get saved for St. John's. I just can't pick St. John's over Duke, John, because like I said, I'd be so happy to be wrong. So I know you're going to differ, my friend. So take it from here. I got Duke.
Well, who's your Final Four pick?
Duke in the Final Four.
Okay.
I cannot pick UConn. So again, I went with 3 #1s and a #2. I know, really gutsy there, Paul. Anyway, what do you got, John?
All right. So one thing, Mr. Gamal, that Mr. Zuby, the real Zuby,
Right. By the way,
said to me during
the original Zuby.
The original Zuby from many, many years ago, said to me during the Big East final that not all teams play defense like St. John's. And I remember, and I asked him because it just came out of the blue. I said, wow, if they play defense like this, and he said, not all teams play defense like them. And I believe that because Paul knows, watches all these college basketball teams. There's some that I watch. I don't know it as well as you guys. I know the Big East.
Yes.
And the one thing that I think is going to carry St. John's, and I will predict that they are going to not only beat Kansas, they're going to handle Duke, and it's going to be St. John's against UConn, and St. John's is going to the Final Four as long as they play defense like they've been playing in the Big East tournament and most of this year. If they do that, if they suffocate these other teams, they press these teams, they will win. Because even as much as I hate Hurley, and I just can't look at this guy's face, even when he's trying to talk normally, he says we play better outside of the Big East. And why? He says because the Big East is so physical. Now, again, I know Duke. I've watched Duke play. I'm not impressed by Duke. I'm sorry. Everyone makes, outside of Boozer, I'm sorry. They can be taken. And if you play tough defense against them, it just takes one game. I think I'm more worried, to be honest, about Kansas because I've watched Kansas play. I'm a little bit more worried about them. I'm not worried about facing UConn again because we'll wipe them out again. St. John's in the Final Four. As long as they play defense. If they do not stick to that defense, they'll be eliminated pretty quickly.
All right.
I gotta agree with you, bud. When you here's the funny thing with the tournament. Boogie's making some good points. You're talking about non-conference play. You're talking about teams who have never played each other. All they have is tape on you. That is perfect for a team like St. John's, because as we have said all year, Bouk, if St. John's is not only playing defense, but the other thing, what have I said all year? If they push the pace, if they are playing defense and they are pushing that pace, it's going to be a long night. It is going to be a long night. You add the physicality to that. You add the fact that, yeah, you know what? Hurley's right. A lot of teams aren't used to that. They're not used to that 90s brand of basketball that St. John's plays. And because of that, I agree with you. I think St. John's they're going to catch teams sleeping. However, I'm going to come back to the Johnnies, because based on what I said about catching teams sleeping, let me introduce our listeners to Cal Baptist and to their guard, Mr. Dominique Daniels. If you don't know, now you know.
I don't know. Okay, good.
Let me tell you, this kid in the conference championship, he was, what's their conference? I think they're the WAC, Western Athletic Conference Tournament. This guy gets Player of the Year, averages 23 points a game. Guys, let me tell you something. He's going to be, I think he should be a late first rounder, and I think this kid could be a steal, because when you look at the handle, you look at, he's very shifty like Shea. You look at, the mid-range, he's a good finisher. I mean, not only is he their guard, but they're throwing him back screen alley-oops at the basket. Like, this guy can do everything. That being said, here comes the upset of the tournament.
All right.
The upset of the tournament, because they've let us down before and they're going to do it one more again, as they like to say, because we have a star player who is an ultra prima donna, who is already load management. I have Cal Baptist upsetting Kansas first round.
All right.
Oh,
There you go.
all right.
All right.
Because
and what's his name again? Daniels. What's his name?
Dominique Daniels is
All right.
going to catch them sleeping. Because this kid, when he goes to the basket, you know what? We like contact. We actually look for contact.
Do they have any height?
That might be the only concern, is the height, but they like to spread you out.
Okay.
They like to spread you out. They get that ball moving. Their bigs can stretch. And this kid Daniels, if he gets you in the open floor, as Shaq likes to say, barbecue chicken, you're cooked. Yeah, that's it for you. You're done.
All right, I like it. Big upset. All right, so
yes.
Okay, keep going. You got more?
So that's my big upset. On the other side, I got to be honest with you. UConn. I have UConn going, but I have UConn running into. You want to talk about well-coached teams? Running into Michigan State. Michigan State has a kid by the name of Carr. This young man has dynamite in his sneakers. This kid gets off the floor so fast. He is a great finisher. They're a complete team. They're lost to Michigan. Michigan just came ready that game. But I think Izzo and them, I think they have something to prove. I have them knocking down UConn, actually, on that side of the East. On the top side, I have Duke doing Duke things, getting down there. However, I do have Duke running into St. John's. And this one was very, very difficult. On this one, I went with Duke, and here's why. And Bouk, you're going to understand.
Ooh.
You're going to understand. It's going to be a tight game. St. John's defense, the physicality, guess what, Boozer? Guess what? You ain't your daddy. You ain't your daddy. And you about to run into some real tough kids. And, our boy Zuby, he got something for you. So he's going to nullify him. The other perimeter defense for St. John's is going to give them problems. But here's why Duke is going to win. Gentlemen, in a game like that, what does it come down to?
what, free throw shooting, officials
you go.
calling against
It
St.
comes
John's.
down to foul shots.
Yeah, that's
And
what's been
that is
worrying.
what is going to nick. So although I have them heading up against Duke, I do have Duke beating them because of the foul shots.
Yeah.
And then I have Duke edging out Michigan State.
All right.
I've been actually saying that to Paul, and I think to you, Gamal, and anyone else who sat next to me in those St. John's games, that those foul shots are going to come at the missed foul shots will come at the wrong time for them. That's been my biggest worry with this team, because they miss clearly. I mean, not in the last game, but across the entire year, 9 to 10 foul shots a game.
Yeah.
That's my only worry. Yes. You made a very good point there. Yes.
Well, another thing quickly you have to mention, right? Speaking of point guards or lack thereof, right? So Caleb Foster fractured his foot in the tournament, the ACC tournament, and is out. So they're playing the other Boozer, the twin, Caden Boozer, who's actually played pretty well. And that's why I thought, again, like Duke also took a big injury. But the brother Boozers played actually really well. Yeah, I'm telling you, that is just, I mean, this region is just loaded. And we didn't even, I mean, UCLA's live too. Let's face it, they've been playing well. They stuck them with the 7 seed. So they could easily beat UConn. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I agree, Michigan State as well. Like I said, I picked UConn because I really just have the only thing to make me happy would be, that's it. They're winning. So Gamal the Big East final, right? John and I attended, so you were watching, right? At home. And we were talking because, like, again, it's the game within the game with Danny Hurley. It's the greatest thing to go watch them in person because you watch his antics. And he was completely out of control in the beginning of this game. And I was telling John, like, why don't the officials basically warn him? And, you played, that before the game, I am teeing you up if you act like this. You cannot go to midcourt at the timeout. You can't be out of the coach's box. And then what happened, John, right? Lo and behold. And I don't know if what happened, because we couldn't tell at the game when they teed him up, but what happened in that play? Did they talk about it on TV? What did he say? Or what did they speculate?
They couldn't identify what he said, but you could tell that, and this is what he does. You can't, I don't know if you guys ever used to see the Chappelle show. There's one skit where he called the guy a habitual line stepper. That is Coach Hurley. You are a habitual. You always cross the line.
Right.
And you're right. You get to a point where, the good referees, and this is why I like the tournament, because now you get the best of the best referees, especially as you go down. They're not going for that. Those referees aren't going for that. And you're absolutely right. We played in college, when we got into ECAC tournament and stuff like that. Yeah, they have those conversations and they let them know, a good veteran, referee team, they're going to make that very clear. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, and, in terms of players, within the first couple minutes if they're going to let you play, very quickly, if they're going to let you play. Usually, good referee squad, they'll let, especially, the Big East in the tournament, they let it go, because they know that's what the fans want to see. But yeah, a good ref will let them know, because that's just crazy. And, what he's doing, it's just, he's a distraction. He wants, he's doing that. It's all just by design. You want to have the ref focused on him, so they're not, seeing, paying attention to what's going on out there. But, at the same time, it's like, come on, that's just no one's here to see you. We're here to see the kids on the court.
Hey, and they shut him up after that. When he teed him up, that was it, right, John? No more antics.
No more.
Yeah, because they let him know. Your next one, guess where you watching? Guess where you watching?
All right. Well, we definitely have to bring that up. All right, let's get to now who we picked. I'll go first. We got our Final Four. This is not going out on a limb, folks.
What?
So it's a Houston Duke. I took Houston over Duke because I cannot pick Duke. I picked them all the way. It's bad enough. Arizona, Michigan. I think this is going to be one of the great games of all time. Not maybe of all time, but one of the great games of this tournament if it happens. I'm taking Arizona. I got an all Big 12 final, of course, since I'm a Big 12 guy, and I'm taking Arizona to beat Houston 77-71. I even put a score together because I had
Ooh.
to do, well, in the pool, you have to do combined points. So I'm like, that's my score. That's what I got. Arizona Wildcats, to me, has been the best team pretty much the whole year, and they win out. So that's the Zuby pick. And I wish I was picking the real Zuby or the second Zuby, Etchafor. So, John, did you have the guts to go all the way with the Red Storm?
So I have St. John's beating Florida because I think that's who they're playing in the Final Four.
Okay.
I have Michigan beating Arizona, and I have SJU beating Michigan. We finally get our first title.
There you go. John, the Bouk, and also known as Doc when Gamal is on the show because John is a doctor, but just don't let him do like your medical exam. I just want to throw that out there. All right. Gamal, what do you got?
Okay, so same, similar Final Four. I got the Dukies, I got Houston, I got the Wildcats, and I got Michigan. I got the Wolverines. This is, I'm definitely gonna stick with Houston here over Duke. I love the Houston coach. He's got the whole family coaching with him. He's got his daughter. He's got his son. I think his daughter's like the athletic director or something like that. He's got his son with him.
And running the show.
Yeah, definitely. I like Houston over Duke. And I think that's the game where the guard play. I think that's right. And you're right. Boozer has done a phenomenal job stepping in. However, I do think that is where it catches up to them. And that's why I give Houston the edge in that game. On the other side, Arizona, Michigan, I think we are going to be in for a dogfight in that one. It's going to be close because, Arizona has, the kids in the back. Michigan's down their point guard, but Michigan's bigs are going to be a problem. They're a bit more mobile than Arizona's. They can shoot the three. They can stretch you. It is going to come down to the wire. But again, in the tournament, guard play is big. And that's where it comes back to Michigan. I have Arizona, Houston, and I'm taking it back to Fly Slamma Jamma. I got Houston bringing it home.
All right. Calvin Sampson wins his first championship. All right. So we got St. John's, Houston, and Arizona. So we had a little variety on the championship side. I hope everybody will check out, obviously, hopefully they're checking out our show, but we'll also follow through to see how we do. We'll be back post-tournament, see how we do, right, John? And we'll mention Gamal's picks as well. So before we say goodnight, we got to get one more subject in that I know Gamal and John are huge fans of, me to a lesser extent. We got to talk a little NBA with Gamal. We're not making predictions, Gamal, but what is your thought as the season has progressed overall and locally? As John is, he's a little worried, maybe not. I'll let him speak for himself. Take it away, guys. NBA talk. Who wants to start?
Let me tell you something. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, the alien sighting can be confirmed. It is real. He walks among us, and he is kicking ass and taking names because they are on an 18-2 run. The San Antonio Spurs are literally 2 years ahead of schedule. I'm in awe, and I just want the listeners to know this, why this kid Wembanyama is special. There are only, in my opinion, 2 guys in the NBA who I say have that Kobe mentality. Have that, I am here to do only one thing to you, and that is to rip your heart out of your chest and take this win. And that is Anthony Edwards, and the other is Mr. Wembanyama. Let me tell you, man, he is a stone cold killer. The team he has, they've surrounded him with great perimeter players. They are a problem. They are a problem for OKC. They are not worried about OKC. They have beaten OKC every time except the first time they played. They have no problem. They are actually looking for OKC in the playoffs because they want to go through them to prove a point to everyone that they're the better team. You know, you have Minnesota looking good. Houston, the Lakers, if the Lakers decide to play defense as a collective, the Lakers are dangerous. They're dangerous. The Lakers are that team they can catch you sleeping if you're not on your A game because and it has nothing to do with LeBron. We're talking about, you know, Luka's going to be Luka. We know what Luka does in the playoffs. Get ready for 40 and 50 pieces, guys. Just get ready for it because he's coming. Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is definitely standout for the Lakers, and they can be dangerous. So I think on the West, you got the Spurs, you got the Lakers. You always have Denver to worry about. It's going to be exciting. The West, get your popcorn. It's going to be awesome. In the East, Doc, you are 100% right. Be very worried about the Knicks. Be very worried about the Knicks. In my opinion, you know, if they have to get it together. They have to win as a collective. They have to push the pace. The Knicks go as Karl Anthony Towns goes. If he decides to be the 25-10 guy, the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals, no question. If he can be the 25-10 guy. If he's not that guy, they're out. Boston is very dangerous. Yeah. Jason Tatum looks great.
Yes,
and if all he's given us is 25 minutes, it's going to be a hard 25 minutes. I got to tell you, it's going to be tough. Cleveland is going to be dangerous because now they have another scorer. They have Mobley back. Going to be interesting because they haven't gone this far together. I'm going to let everyone know Detroit is not going to make it. Detroit is going to find out what Cleveland found out last year. Yeah. You need more than Cade, which is why Cleveland got James Harden. You guys know the game slows down in the playoffs. When the game slows down, this is where your number 2 and 3 options become very important. And that's why the Knicks, they're okay as long as their number 2 guy steps up. You have 3 or 4 guys that can always step up for the Knicks to be that number 3. But for Detroit, they're going to find that out this year. I don't have Detroit getting past the second round because that's what they're going to find out. I think it's going to come down to the Knicks, Cleveland, and Boston in the East. It's a toss-up. I got to give the edge to Boston just because they're so deep. They are so deep. You have guys like Pritchard coming off the bench who can easily give you 30-40, which is like absolutely insane. So yeah, it's going to be really good. In my opinion, you have 6 teams that can legitimately win the title this year. Legitimately win the title. You know, San Antonio, OKC, and you can definitely put the third team. You can put Denver, you can put Minnesota, depending on what happens. Houston's not going to be there. And in the East, those 3, you know, the Knicks, Cleveland, and the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying to Paul that the East playoffs are killer. I mean, every single series is going to be a dogfight because Orlando is a pain in the neck. Whoever plays Philadelphia, if Embiid is healthy, that's a very, very dangerous game.
Very dangerous
matchup with anyone. I mean, Paul's man from Baylor over there, Edgecombe. I mean,
he's had a good year.
He's had a very, very good year. Yeah, I think the thing with the Knicks, my concern is when they don't play defense. If it sounds like a St. John's mantra again. If the Knicks play defense, they will win. They have enough offense. I'm a little bit on the opposite side of you, Gamal, when it comes to Towns. I don't think we need to get 25 points from him. I need him to be. he's been playing better defense. I need him to be physical. I need him. He's been distributing the ball really well. He's had great games that he scored 17, 18 points and getting 12 rebounds. That's fine. You have Anunoby. You have Bridges is you can't depend on Bridges. Bridges is one of those guys that he does well one game and then he totally disappears. So Josh Hart, we need Josh Hart to be Josh Hart. He's been injured quite a bit this year, and real wild card is, are you going to play Mitchell Robinson every game? You know, this skipping every game, yeah, that's fine for the regular season. What about the playoffs? Are we skipping games in the playoffs? He makes a big difference. I mean, he needs to play every game because every series is going to be a dogfight in the East. The East is just rock and sock'em robots there. Okay. The funny thing is, before the show, I was talking to Paul about Wembanyama, and I said that you were the person, meaning Mr. Gamal, who turned me on to this kid because I had no idea what he was talking about. He was talking about him before he came into the NBA, and wow, I mean, wow. Did you see the game? I've said it to Paul. Did you see the game where he was literally about 5 or 6 feet away from the basket, and he did a dunk from not that he had a running start, he was standing and he dunked. Yeah. 5 or 6 feet. I mean, it was the most incredible play I've ever seen.
Listen,
I've never seen a dunk like that.
I saw him play against Houston, and it was like somebody needs to call CPS because this is child abuse going on. It was absolutely like you felt bad for them. They were like, what do you do? I mean, it was here's what has happened. He has realized that at 7'4", if he plays downhill, he is unstoppable. He is unstoppable. He already is going to do what he does on the defensive end, which is, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen someone his size cover so much ground. It's unbelievable. But he can change the course of a game by himself at both ends of the floor. It's like what Giannis can do, but on a whole nother level. It is truly unbelievable. I don't know what to say. Like the only thing against them is that we haven't seen them yet in the playoffs. That's the only thing going against them.
Right.
But I tell you what, they are not afraid of OKC, and OKC is hoping and praying that they stay at the number 2 so that they end up on the other side of the brackets, because they're going to be a major problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news for the Knicks fans, is that they don't have to worry about facing the Spurs, and they'll be happy to face the Spurs because that means they're in the finals. Quick one for you, Gamal. The Mike Brown comparison to Tom Thibodeau, what do you think? Because, I mean, Brown's obviously a good coach. He's a very smart guy, but he just has a different personality completely. So what's your view on Mike Brown, and does he have the goods to take him, all the way?
I think he's done. I think, all things considered, I think he's done a good job this year. Let me ask you this: did the Knicks take a step backwards this year? No, they're still the top 3. They're still the top 3 in the East. They're still one of the top teams in the entire league. So, in that regard, you're stepping in. You have all the personalities. You're in New York. I think overall, he actually has done a really good job. Next year, I'll be able to say whether or not he's done better than Tibbs, because now you've been here a year, you know the personalities, you've established yourself, you know what to do. Next year, I hope to see them take a step forward next year. The offense is better. I think we all agree with that. The offense is definitely better than last year. The ball is moving around more. You don't have Brunson standing at the top of the key making love to the basketball and everyone watching. Like the ball is moving around. So that's good. They have to improve defensively. And as the Mavs, when they won with Dirk, they showed us that playing defense is a decision. You have to make the decision. I'm playing defense.
Yep.
And then you go out there and you do it. So yeah, I think the Knicks. I think Mike Brown has done okay, honestly. But moving forward, we talk about this every year. The Knicks need a center. The Knicks need a center desperately. There are so many young big men out there, 7-footers that are mobile. You just need a guy who can set screens and is a lob threat. That's what they need. You're not looking for a guy who's coming in to be like your number 2, your number 3. You need a guy who knows his role. That's it. That's what the Knicks need to go get.
All right, we'll see. All right, good coverage. Maybe we'll bring Gamal back for the NBA playoffs because, again, Gamal,
Yeah, why
the
not?
Bouk and Zoobie show is only about winning championships, and
Yes.
the Knicks are our only chance right now. St. John's, in a way, but from a professional perspective, that's it. So,
Yeah.
as always, my friend, thank you for joining us on our March Madness preview. We hope that Mr. Producer can get this out in time for round 1 on Thursday. We'll be obviously watching, looking forward to it. And John and I, right, John, we will be back probably, like I'd say maybe the Sweet 16. But we did talk about even doing a baseball preview. There's just so much, right, Gamal, to
There's
talk
so
So
much
much
about
going
with
on.
sports. It never ends. We love it. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was great. And keep an eye on the Hornets in the playing tournament. They're sending somebody home.
All right.
Oh,
Well, the
yeah.
Hornets, we didn't even mention the great rookies, Con Knipple,
Oh.
who's I just love saying the guy's name. We'll talk about him at another time, maybe in the playoffs. John, so who do you got to thank?
Again, as always, thanks to Gamal for appearing with us again. We always love to have him on and his wisdom on basketball. Also, thanks to our producer, Zach Zubulake, and to our loyal listeners and viewers. Also, thanks to our community partners, Ronald McDonald House, Kids in Seats, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. See you in a couple of weeks.